Every year, the war on drugs costs US taxpayers $50 billion. But it's not just about money. It's about lives lost, families broken, and communities destroyed. What if the real war isn't against drugs, but against ourselves? The war on drugs is unwinnable. Why? It's based on the economic principles of supply and demand. If every drug dealer disappeared tomorrow, or the drug supply vanished, new suppliers would emerge overnight. Prohibition drives up profit margins, making the illegal drug trade one of the most lucrative markets in the world. And the demand? It's unrelenting. Humans have always sought escapism, whether through stories, entertainment, or substances. Drugs, both legal and illegal, fill that need, offering relief from monotony, pain, and challenges. This demand isn't going anywhere. The United States failed to learn from alcohol prohibition. Back then, banning alcohol didn't stop people from drinking. It simply shifted the business underground. Organized crime groups like the Italian-American Mafia thrived, expanding their power and influence for decades. The same forces that fueled organized crime during Prohibition are now driving the power and wealth of modern drug cartels. By making drugs illegal, we've handed control to these violent organizations, creating an endless cycle of crime and corruption. Prohibition doesn't eliminate demand. It shifts the supply chain underground where risks are higher, but so are the profits. These enormous profits don't just fuel violence. They embed corruption deep into systems of power. From law enforcement to multinational corporations, the entire system is entangled in an economy that thrives on prohibition. So who benefits most from this system? The answer isn't the families devastated by addiction or the communities ravaged by violence. It's the organizations and institutions profiting from the chaos. Adding to this dysfunction are the perverse incentives that keep the war on drugs alive. Government agencies like the DEA rely on the conflict for funding and job security. Private prisons operate under contracts guaranteeing minimum occupancy rates, creating a financial incentive to incarcerate more people. Corporations benefit from prison labor, with incarcerated workers earning as little as 2 cents an hour while producing billions in goods annually. At Angola Prison in Louisiana, prisoners work fields under armed guards on lands historically tied to slavery. These goods, from agriculture to manufacturing, find their way to companies like Walmart. The war on drugs also costs lives. Over 100,000 Americans die annually from drug overdoses. Yet instead of treating addiction as a health crisis, the U.S. criminalizes it. Approximately 54% of state prisoners and 64% of jail inmates have a mental health disorder, yet prisons are ill-equipped to provide treatment. Instead, incarceration compounds trauma, creating cycles of despair. Research shows that trauma isn't just personal, it's generational, leaving marks in our very DNA. Without a public health approach, these cycles metastasize, affecting families and communities for decades. So what's the alternative? Countries like Portugal show us a better way. In 2001, Portugal decriminalized drug use and shifted its focus to treatment. Overdose deaths, HIV infections, and drug-related harm dropped significantly. But even this approach isn't perfect. Critics note gaps in rehabilitation funding and ongoing stigma against users. For the US, the challenge is even greater. Without a robust social safety net or universal health care, decriminalization alone won't work. Reform must be holistic, pairing liberalized drug policies with investments in housing, mental health care, and harm reduction programs. The war on drugs is unwinnable because it's a war against human behavior, but it continues because too many people profit from it. Please subscribe to The Intellectualists YouTube channel, where we present insightful videos analyzing the current events shaping the world. Turn on notifications to receive the latest updates from the channel.